Well, hello. Welcome back to the I'm Not Sugar the podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Purchase. I'm just going to cut straight to it today. If you're dreading Thanksgiving this year because your family is a mess or things have happened and it could be kind of awkward, you're not alone. I'm kind of dealing with the same thing. And today I'm going to give you the skills that have literally saved me during the holidays. And I'm going to help you take your holidays back. These skills are from DBT and they're going to help you survive and maybe even find some peace in the next few days. And here's the most important thing I want you to know today: you cannot control your family. You cannot make them be who you wish that they were or had been in the past, but you can control how you respond, how you protect yourself, and how you get through this without losing your shit or your sobriety or your sanity. So, the first skill here is radical acceptance. I know. I know this one sounds like bullshit at first. It did to me. Accept my family, the things that they did, accept, that I'm spending Thanksgiving with people that don't really understand me. No, that's not what radical acceptance is. And it's not approving anyone's behavior either. Radical acceptance is about accepting reality as it is, not as we wish it would be. It's acknowledging that my family is who they are. They're not going to magically change because it's Thanksgiving as much as I want them to. My family members aren't gonna suddenly be the people I needed them to be when I was younger. They're not gonna apologize, they're not gonna stop making passive aggressive comments, right? It's accepting that this is the situation in which we find ourselves without agreeing with it, without liking it or not liking it, without condoning anyone's behavior, without judging it. Think of it this way: you're standing in the rain, and you could spend all your energy screaming at the sky saying, "It shouldn't be raining." Or you can accept that it is raining and grab an umbrella. So, why does this matter for Thanksgiving? Because when you stop fighting reality, when you stop hoping this time will be different, you're going to free up that emotional and that mental energy to actually protect yourself and cope with what's in front of you, and maybe even find some peace and enjoyment in the holidays for yourself. So here's how to practice it. So before you go or before your family arrives, you can say out loud, "My family is who they are. I cannot change or control them. I can only control my response." So when something triggering happens, and it will, you can pause and remind yourself that this is reality right now. I don't have to like it, but I'm not going to keep wasting my energy fighting what already is. You can notice when you're stuck in what my group therapist would call should thinking. They should respect my boundaries. Yeah, they should. It shouldn't be this way. No, it shouldn't. Each time you catch a should, though, you can replace it, right? With this is how it is right now. It is this way. Radical acceptance doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you approve. It doesn't mean that you're giving up. It means that you're choosing to deal with what's actually happening instead of what you wish was happening. A lot of us, I'm sure, wish some things would have been different in our lives, right? We've all had our fair share of hardships. That's what I've learned. When we can accept that, it gives us the ability to make space to find enjoyment. Then we need to talk about distress tolerance, right? So we've accepted reality. Now we're sitting at the table and our family members are doing what they do, right? They're talking about the things you said that you didn't want them to talk about. Your heart's racing, your jaw's clenched. You want to flip the table or scream or just disappear. And this is where distress tolerance comes in. This is where your emergency skill comes in. The TIPP skill is the first one. This one's a lifesaver. T is for temperature. You can splash cold water on your face or warm water on your face. Hold ice cubes, step out into the cold. This literally changes your body's physiology and helps you regulate your nervous system. I is for intense exercise. If you can excuse yourself and go do some like jumping jacks or run in place, maybe go for a walk. Then we have P for paced breathing. You can breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, and exhale for 6. This helps your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's calm the fuck down, activate. And we have P for paired muscle relaxation. You can tense every muscle for 5 seconds and then slowly release and notice the difference in your body. Some other distraction techniques, some of my favorites: find a task, right? Offer to help with dishes at the table, take the dog for a walk, play with the kids. Sometimes the best thing you can do is remove yourself under the guise of being helpful. The 5 4 3 2 1 grounding technique. Name 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. This brings you back to the present moment when you're spiraling. Then, of course, we can talk about boundaries, right? So here's the hard truth. You probably already do have boundaries. The problem is your family doesn't respect them. And every year we keep hoping that somehow it'll be magically different. See, and here we are back to radical acceptance. So before we go in advance or before they arrive, we can decide what our boundaries are in advance. Examples are things like, I'm not discussing my relationship, my job, my body, my politics. I'm leaving by 6 p.m. I won't be drinking. I'm going to get a hotel. I'm not going to stay at the house. You can tell someone safe what your boundaries are, your partner, a friend, your therapist. The extra validation and accountability for having these boundaries really helps, especially because boundaries can feel really shitty. Like, I feel guilty still with boundaries, and that's a normal thing. So having somebody safe that can say, yes, these are reasonable boundaries, is really helpful. And of course, you can plan your exit. Always have a way to leave, right? Maybe you take your own car, have an Uber fund. Maybe there's a friend on standby. Don't trap yourself in a situation that you know maybe will be too much for you, especially during Thanksgiving. You can state your boundaries calmly one time. I'm not comfortable discussing that topic. I need to leave by 6. I'd prefer to change the subject. And so when they push, and they will, you don't need to explain. You don't need to justify. You don't need to defend. You just repeat like a broken record. As I said, I'm not discussing that topic, right? And they won't respect it. You follow through. You leave early. You said you would leave early, you leave early. You remove yourself from the conversation if that was the boundary. You go to another room, right? You don't just keep putting up with someone's unacceptable behavior. And here's what I've learned the hard way. Boundaries without consequences aren't boundaries. They're suggestions. Your family has learned over time and over the years that boundaries are optional because they've never been enforced. But this year might actually be the year that you get up and leave dinner early. It's not rude, that's self respect. And yes, people will be upset. They'll call you difficult, they'll say you're sensitive, dramatic. Let them say those things. Let them feel the way they're going to feel. Their discomfort with your boundary is not your responsibility to manage. You are your own responsibility to manage. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Thanksgiving might still be hard. It might still suck. You might still feel lonely. You might feel sad, angry, frustrated. These skills don't make those emotions and the pain go away. That's not what they're for. But they do help you survive the holiday without making things worse for you or anyone else. Some of you watching or listening to this might be thinking, what if I just don't go? And honestly, that's totally valid. Maybe that's an option for you. If it is, okay, great. Sometimes the most radical act of self love is just choosing not to participate in something that's harmful to you. If that's where you're at, just please know, like, you're not a bad person for protecting yourself, okay? So here's the game plan. You can radically accept that your family is who they are. You can have your distress tolerance skills ready, right? We talked about TIPP, we talked about grounding and distractions. You can set your boundaries in advance and actually enforce them. And remember, you're not trying to have the perfect Thanksgiving. You're just trying to get through it intact with maybe with some enjoyment. And that's enough. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and share it with somebody else you think might need it. Leave a comment below and let me know if any of these skills seem like they would be helpful for you. You can always check out my Substack for more. And I know how difficult boundaries are, so that's why I made a whole video about it. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take good care of yourself.